Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the dude manning the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about the latest release from Vinegar Syndrome. It's called Whatever It Takes, starring Don the Dragon Wilson, Andrew Dice Clay, and Fred Williamson. Vinegar Syndrome does smaller releases. They're independent, but they license out for different films, and they do a lot of different, more niche movies, not as mainstream usually, but they've released some, like The Beastmaster and Rad, were 4K releases from them, and those are, a little bit more mainstream, and those sold very well for them. But Whatever It Takes is a 90s martial arts action movie, and Don the Dragon Wilson was a kickboxer in the 80s and early 90s, I believe, and one of the best to ever do it. We always talk about different action stars, like how legit are they, and all of them are tough guys. I mean, you go down the list, you're pretty tough to get as far as they did. But Don the Dragon Wilson, has an extensive kickboxing record and held multiple titles, and he was in the ring for many years. So, he's about as legit as it gets. And he also, when I used to watch the UFC back when it was in its infancy, he was a guest commentator many times. So his knowledge of martial arts and the fight game is very extensive. So, he parlayed that into some martial arts movies. He did a lot of different stuff. The Blood Fist series, Ring of Fire, and then Whatever It Takes. Now, Vinegar Syndrome, when they take these older movies, that, were on the video store shelves and stuff, they stuff you would find in the video store, they do an amazing job of doing a 4K scan and remastering it and giving it a presentation, that's very, very good. Like, they took older movies like Rad and Beastmaster and made them look better than they ever could have been. And, excuse my cat here, she's been kind of hiding, and now she's out. But anyway, Vinegar Syndrome takes these movies and really, just restores them to the utmost ability that they can, and like any technology, I mean, because there's a lot of work that goes into a 4K scan and remastering and stuff, and they do amazing work. Okay, now Whatever It Takes is about two undercover officers. Don the Dragon Wilson and Andrew Dice Clay are undercover cops, and they're trying to bust up a steroid ring that's run by Fred Williamson, so they go undercover. And this movie, the thing about martial arts movies back then, in the 90s, is they were very tonally all over the place. Like, there were some comical moments, then it was really dark and serious, then there's some action, then it's really campy. It's just everywhere because these are smaller budgeted movies. So if an idea popped in to experiment with, they threw it in there. And so that always made some very entertaining results. And Whatever It Takes definitely is the epitome of like the 90s martial arts movies. And it goes all over there. And, while it is a flawed movie, it's very entertaining. And Andrew Dice Clay, for people who don't know, in the late 80s and early 90s, he had this kind of deliberately offensive gimmick and, strong New York accent, cigarette always in his hand. And, he had this cool gimmick, and he was very popular, and his character here is basically Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, he's got the full gimmick on and all the jokes and all that stuff. So that's what he does here. He basically plays himself. Don Wilson, kickboxer, he basically played himself. So they're both very comfortable. Fred Williamson, he usually played heroes, and here he's more villainous here, but he had a lot of fun with it. So that's really good. So the cast was game for this movie. Now, Vinegar Syndrome, the thing I love about them too, is not only they go all out in their restoration, but, I mean, just the presentation too. You got this hardcore cover. You got new artwork that they have, but then you have the original artwork as well on the other side in this very sturdy hardcore case. And the case itself is like that, but if you open it up, you got the disc itself, and then you got, the reversible artwork here too, and here's the actual disc. And it also came with a poster. which has both. This poster is just like this cover. So either side, if you want to hang it up or frame it or whatever, you've got a choice. So Vinegar Syndrome went all out, and so if you're a collector of martial arts movies, I really recommend this because back then, when I was renting these things and watching with my friends, we would be entertained. We were like, wow, that was brutal and that was dark. And then you were laughing, a couple minutes later. So, because it was just such an experimental time. And so that's what this movie is. And Vinegar Syndrome, like when they had on their little synopsis, like the things that used to sit on video store shelves, waiting to be found. This is one of them. And I'm glad I picked it up. And so if you're into older martial arts movies and want to see a movie that's the best it's ever looked, I really recommend picking this up. You can order it from their website. That's how I had to get it. They sell exclusively through their website. So I'm really happy I picked it up. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in it. Have you seen it? Have you seen any other Don the Dragon Wilson movies? Do you remember Andrew Dice Clay? Any of that stuff? Or do you pick up older movies like this? Do you remember it from the days back in the video stores? Let me know all that in the comments, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.